This episode of the 84 Million podcast is sponsored by LitVM, Litecoin's virtual machine. LitVM enables smart contract capabilities and Web3 applications for Litecoin. Designed for builders, LitVM features a modular ZK stack that operates on top of Litecoin and is powered by industry leaders such as Bitcoin OS, Arbitrum, Espresso, Succinct, and Caldera. Together with all the other builders in the ecosystem, LitVM is advancing the Litecoin Meta. Visit litvm.com and visit the LiteForge Testnet at testnet.litvm.com. When it comes to mining, pools matter. This is why we recommend POWERPOOL. POWERPOOL is a mining pool built by miners to maximize profits. If you're mining from home or have a larger scaled operation, use POWERPOOL for the best payouts. POWERPOOL supports SHA-256, X11, Blake2S, EagleSong, K-Heavy Hash, and of course our favorite, S-CRYPT for Litecoin, Dogecoin, Bellscoin, and others. Mining with POWERPOOL is easy with its simple user interface, and the platform has all the reporting exports that you're looking for. POWERPOOL typically charges a 1% fee, but if you use the 84 million link in the show notes, you will pay less than 1%, which is excellent. So sign up, point your machines, and start mining with POWERPOOL for lower fees and better payouts. Cheers, happy mining. Hello and welcome to the 84 Million podcast, episode number 58. And today we have as our guest a replay. So I'm home back stateside here in Texas after having been in Amsterdam, Netherlands for the Litecoin Summit 2026. And what a great event that was. And 2 days to lead Dutch Blockchain Week this past Monday and Tuesday. And just a very, very powerful time. A lot of great talks, great panels. I was able to participate in a few of those, and just generally a wonderful environment to connect with other Litecoiners and people who are interested in what we're doing. So big shout out to the Litecoin Foundation for this one. I know it was a kind of an experimental location, but I think it was a big success, and I think everybody there was extremely happy to be there. Yeah, just really special time. So I was fortunate enough to be able to mod the final panel with the great Charlie Lee, director of the foundation, Alan Austin, the managing director, David Schwartz of the strategic partnerships, and Jay Mila of marketing. Robbie Coleman wasn't here, which we did miss him. He's always a character, but I guess he's been doing just a ton of travel in Asia, and he was not able to make it. But I hope you enjoy this final panel. Again, I will link the show notes, the foundation's page, so you can watch all of it. Go check every single session you should watch. I know I'm going to be replaying a lot, especially from day one, which was just personally a very busy day for me. But without further ado, we're going to play it, and do enjoy it.
So anyway, let's welcome up Jay is going to be the moderator, and he's going to introduce everybody and tell you their credentials. So come on up, guys. Jay. Drew is the moderator. Jay's not the moderator. I'm sorry.
Kyle is the moderator.
I don't need all the hostility. Kyle Eber is the moderator. Yes, he's my sponsor, 84million.com. He sponsored my hat that didn't fit. Alan Austin and David Schwartz and Charlie Lee have at it. Yeah. Also, stick around till the end because there's free giveaways for people who stay to the end. If you leave and come running back in, we won't give you prizes.
Thank you, Marty. Let's give it up for Marty. I mean, Doug. Thank you, Doug. So we're running a little overtime here, so I'm going to have to speed it up, and I don't like doing that because typically.
Don't worry about it.
We'll go whatever.
Hello?
We'll go whatever.
Yeah, we're gonna move, but I typically like longer form with the podcast, and I'm just grateful to be here today. Can we just give it up for the whole event? Litecoin Summit 2026 Amsterdam. We're all here. You're here in what was described as a very mellow market earlier, and you're still here. So I'm honored to be here with these gentlemen. I am not a part of the foundation. I do want to give them each an introduction. We'll, of course, start maybe at the end. We've got Jay Mila. He's the Director of Global Marketing for the Foundation. We've got Alan Austin, the Managing Director. We've got David Schwartz, the Strategic Partnerships. And, of course, the gentleman next to me, who really needs no introduction, but I will give him one anyway. This is the greatest of all time, the GOAT, Charlie Lee Satoshi Light, creator of Litecoin, and the director of the foundation. And I will also mention that Robbie Coleman is not with us. He's the APAC director. He's been very busy in Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. So anyway, let's dive into this. This is the first non-North American summit that's just Litecoin. I understand you've done collabs in the past with proof of work summits and things like this, but this is the first Litecoin summit in Amsterdam. Alan or David first. As we wrap up here, what's your big takeaway? What's the most inspiring moment, panels, personal discussions that you found over these last 2 days?
I was going to keep it up, so he had to answer.
Go ahead.
So I missed the question because I did that.
We're all tired here, folks. You know, it's our turn to get all the jet lag, and these gentlemen have been incredibly busy the past 2 days. So
what's the biggest difference between them?
What's the biggest takeaway? What's the inspiration you're seeing here in these conversations outside the United States?
Well, so after we had the last one in Vegas, which was obviously a very good one, like all the others were, we started hunting around for the next one. And as we were going through, there's some things about Vegas that we all like probably, and there's things we don't like. And we had done 3 out of the 5 in the past there. And so I started talking with Alan about, what would it look like if we actually did it somewhere else? And so started looking at a few different places to do it. We went from like Austin to Miami, Vancouver, where Luxfolio is out of. We even looked at, I think it was Mexico City or Cabo, Puerto Rico, and there didn't seem to necessarily be, from a price standpoint, any difference from Vegas necessarily. All of those places would have been probably great to do it in too. But then we started talking about areas where we have a presence in terms of people that use or care about Litecoin, but the US was like a large chunk of that. And so what was like second and third on that list as places that would be really nice to sort of build up more of a momentum in those areas. And it came down to basically the APAC and the EU. And so then we started talking about, well, where in the EU would be really beneficial. And Alan said he really wanted to go to Amsterdam. And so we started looking at that. I thought it was a good idea. My reasons were probably different than his, but but it actually fit really well. And so it started getting more and more serious. And then one day I was looking on LinkedIn, and there was some gentlemen that were tied to the Dutch Blockchain Week. And that made sense. So we reached out, and they were more than happy to try and figure it out if that would work. And then we kind of struck a deal, and we're a part of their week, and it's been great. We're going to go visit them tomorrow and support them just like they've come and supported us. And that's really the long story for a short reason. Yeah.
Let me just add, by the way, David, I don't think that was actually the question, but I'll go.
But it was a great answer.
Water, so
But it's important. No, I just to add, I mean, Litecoin being global, it's important that we have global presence. One of the greatest things is that no matter where you go, there's passion, there's development, there's people that are building in the space, and it's awesome to see around the world how what's happening and how important that is for global adoption. And it's been great meeting so many people doing so many different projects. So I think that's the great part of it, no matter where you go.
yeah, and they do have a KFC here, so that was a plus too.
Very good. Yeah. I want to move on to Charlie and address something that I think's very widespread, and I think we all feel it in different ways. But the market cycles, you've lived through every single one of them being, in terms of crypto, you're the elder statesman. You've been around longer than anybody else in the room, and much of the entire space, to be fair. So you've seen it all, the ups and downs, the booms, the busts, the cycles. What encouragement can you offer in times like these to either those that want to build on Litecoin or those interested in holding Litecoin or, of course, using Litecoin?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the space since 2011, so I've seen pretty much all of it. But the surprising thing is when I got in, it was at all-time high at the time. It was at $30 for Bitcoin. It was the all-time high because like a few months before I got in, it was less than $1. So it felt like I missed the boat. But then like it crashed back down to like $2 from like $30. So that was a pretty crazy crash, right? That's even more than 90%. So I've seen a lot of these like ups and downs, and I think the most important thing is like people are always focused about price, and which is fair. But the most important thing is if you don't build anything that is actually useful, then then it won't survive, right? So the important thing is that people actually use Litecoin and it's actually useful for people in their daily lives. And the price will do what it does in the short term, but in long term, I really believe it will do well because we're actually doing something that is meaningful and useful, and it will stick around and the price will do what it does, but it will recover.
Very good. We appreciate that coming from Charlie. Alan, in terms of MWeb, it's been 4 years as of, in terms of activation last month in May. So we've seen a lot of growth there. Litecoin didn't always have optional privacy, and of course we have to thank Charlie and David and some others who pushed for that, and now we have it.
Yep.
But what sort of trends have you seen in terms of the need or the desire for privacy in this space or for Litecoin over the years and since MWeb has been available?
Yeah, so we're seeing it's a slow, gradual adoption, but I think that's typical because that's in the crypto space. Just payments in general are still young and early, and using privacy on top of that is even a newer sort of behavior. MWeb, for most of you that maybe know by now, is an optional privacy layer that hides that allows user confidentiality when sending funds. And one of the things that's different, that differentiates it, I think that's valuable, is that unlike like full privacy coins, it avoids forcing like a user into a full privacy model from the beginning. And I think that's important for a few reasons. One is better exchange compatibility. Another is from a regulatory standpoint. I think, if we ever face these issues, there's quite a bit more clarity there. And I think the last one, probably the most important, is it allows for like more of a gradual adoption, like maybe like a more natural path to privacy. For example, if you're new to crypto or even in it, you can start playing with Litecoin and using it on the main chain. And once you become comfortable with that and you start valuing privacy, then you can experiment with MWeb. And I think that's a lot easier for most people than just expecting someone to be thrown right into a full privacy model.
Very good. Anybody else on privacy in terms of Litecoin? General comments, anything? No. We've seen a lot of builders here at the summit with wallets and things, and we look forward to that expanding. Very good. So LitVM, we have Aztec with us. He actually spoke earlier today. This is a big, it's a big thing for Litecoin, kind of moving from sound money, which it will be and always will be, or it is and always will be, but we also are now seeing secondary uses of Litecoin Web3. So they launched their LiteForge. It's doing very well. Lots of excitement there. I want to say I saw, 5 million unique addresses and over 84 million transactions and more than 50 decentralized applications already. So as Litecoin moves from being just money, sound money, private money, into Web3, what impact do you see this having, David?
Yeah, I think just the fact that the testnet has been that strong and such a strong response to having it open like this, I think you're going to see some of the things that we've probably wanted to see happen on top of Litecoin actually happen by the end of this year, right? So me personally, I know I've had a lot of conversations with Aztec and his team, and I'm really in love with what they're doing. And I think the fact that you could end up having smart contracts, RWAs, like stable coins, any of those things that people have been asking, when is Litecoin going to participate in this, DeFi DEX is built, where Litecoin is the primary, stuff like that, is all going to actually happen. And I think that's a good thing. Why not have the narratives and the stories and the infrastructure focus on Litecoin instead of us being some sort of peripheral participant in something that we normally naturally wouldn't see Litecoin be in at all.
And I know, Charlie, you've met with LitVM, you've provided much advice to them. What do you see LitVM bringing to Litecoin?
Obviously, the integration with like the dApps ecosystem, right, Ethereum and others, would be great, right? Getting Litecoin involved in that space. I think it would just bring more people into the Litecoin ecosystem, right? More people who are playing around with decentralized application and everything around that, to build on top of Litecoin. So I think it will expand the reach of Litecoin, and which can't be bad, obviously. So I'm very excited about that.
Very good. I do want to bring up something just for clarity, because I think sometimes when we're online, we can have official releases and no one ever reads them, or someone takes a piece out of it and publishes it with a different flavor. So obviously there was an issue earlier this year. David, pardon me if he addressed this in his first talk. I did not make it to that session. But the 13-block reorg, right? What happened, what didn't happen, and what was learned through that?
Yeah, so for those of you that didn't know, the thing about MWeb is it's a risky upgrade, because the trade-offs with privacy is if you make something private, it makes it possible. There's always a potential for someone to print money out of thin air. So that's the risk, because like, for example, with Bitcoin and previously like Litecoin, the main chain, everything's in open. And everything uses basic, easy math. So you can add up all the coins to 21 million for Bitcoin, 84 million for Litecoin, and you can see that nothing shady is going on. Like there's always a fixed amount, right? But once you make something private, where not everyone can see the actual amount, if some coins get created and nobody notices, then it's a hidden inflation, right? And that's a risk with Monero, with Zcash, with all these other coins, all these other privacy coins. The reason is because in order to ensure everything adds up, we use cryptography, right? So for example, with Mimblewimble, when I send a transaction, only me and the recipient knows how many Litecoins I sent, right? Everyone else uses cryptography to calculate that what I sent is what they received, and then there's potential of like potentially sending negative amounts, and you have to like make sure that doesn't happen, right? So what happened with MWeb was there was actually a bug that has been in the system for years, and we went through a lot of security audits, everything, and it wasn't found. It's a very kind of hard issue and AI has gotten so good that one of our developers used AI and asked AI, it's a funny story, he asked AI, like, find me a hidden inflation bug in MWeb, here's the code base. And then AI came back and said, well, I found one. And then Loshan was the person who did that, and Loshan was like, this doesn't look right, it's kind of silly. And then he showed it he thought the AI was just hallucinating something up, which happens, right? He showed it to David, and David's like, let me take a look deep into this. And then it took a while to kind of figure out it was actually a real issue. And then we went back and noticed, we went back in history to find if it was actually exploited. And it turns out someone exploited the system like a day earlier. So the AI gotten so good, like all of a sudden the latest like cloud AI was able to detect that. So the attacker used like 99.999% chance to use AI to find the same bug and exploited it. But they didn't, so they exploited the bug, but they didn't really spend the money. So it was sitting there. So with the help of pools, we were able to kind of lock the funds down, and we negotiated with the hacker to return the funds, and we gave him a bounty. So that happened a few months ago. So everything was good. We recovered it. But unfortunately, we patched the system, but there was also another bug that led to a DOS attack on the miners. So the exploit happened again, but it was on a kind of a side chain. It's on a different chain that eventually got overtook. So that was a 13-block reorg. But during the 13-block reorg, someone was effectively able to double spend and steal from decentralized exchanges that effectively just gave money away without like, I would say enough safeguards, right? So that happened, but everything is fine now. But there was an exploit for sure, yeah. So that's like kind of the detail of it.
But we did maintain 100% uptime. I think some folks said you were down. People were still able to transact, and ultimately nothing was stolen, and there is no inflation.
Yeah, if you're using Litecoin during that time, you wouldn't really feel anything, like your transactions still confirmed, anything like that. So yeah, effectively there's no downtime, but there was, I would call it a hiccup.
And it's not unique to Litecoin.
It's not unique. Like it's kind of built in the system where reorgs can happen. A 13-block reorg is a pretty long reorg for sure, and we've seen like long reorgs before. So, yeah.
I'm grateful for the team, and I think some pools and all of the collaboration that basically resolved it quickly. Could have been much worse. I appreciate your response on that. I know there's a moratorium published on the website. You guys were quick to communicate about this, but I just know it was in the air. So appreciate the response on that. Regarding AI, I came into Litecoin. This is sound money. It's for payments. It's digital silver. But now we're talking about machine economies. Some other panels alluded to that. So I know Litecoin is for humans, but is it also for AI? If so, what attributes make it more appropriate for that AI environment? Anyone on the panel for this?
Well, I think it's whatever the market really wants to do with it. So adjacent payments are coming up, and we would all probably agree that Litecoin would be a perfect fit for those kind of AI payments. You need super low feed, quick, and always up are the mandatory things that you would need for that, because AI wants to transact when it wants to transact. It needs to process as many transactions as it wants, and it can't be too expensive for the the end client. And if that's what the market wants to do with Litecoin, whether it's forward-facing or completely in the background, I think it makes perfect fit.
Very good, Jay. When you were creating Litecoin, was anything like robots or AI or algorithms using your coin in the cards, Charlie?
Not at that time, but I've always realized that cryptocurrency in general, like I talked about in the previous Q&A with Alan, cryptocurrency in general was something that made AI more powerful, because it made it possible for AI to have its own bank account, make money, and spend it, right? Just imagine AI can trade coins, make money, and spend Litecoin to buy more hardware or buy more RAM, buy whatever, increase its storage space, and make itself more powerful, right? So it makes AI more dangerous. Before cryptocurrency, it wasn't possible, right? AI cannot really make money. It can't really create a bank account with Wells Fargo or other bank accounts because it doesn't have a real identity. So, but now they can. So it's a really powerful thing for AI and cryptocurrency to work together.
There you go.
We live in wild times. Let's talk about institutions. I know there's some of them have been present here and sponsoring and things like this. Some of them couldn't make it, but I would say, David, with partnership, of course, Charlie, you were doing like a road show last year, doing meetings on meetings on meetings. What's exciting you about these institutions coming in? Feel free to name them specifically. I just want to explore that topic.
Yeah, so LiteStrategy is the company I'm on the board of, been working very closely with. where they got initial $100 million investment that they put into Litecoin and using Litecoin as a corporate treasury. It's very exciting to see institutions come into this space and basically seeing Litecoin as a new asset class. It exposes Litecoin to a ton of people, right? Before ETFs and Strategy, it wasn't possible for someone to easily get access to Litecoin, right? You have to open a Coinbase account, buy it from exchange. But right now, you can just any brokerage, you can go and buy Lits or Litecoin ETF and get exposure to Litecoin, right? And it's kind of a stepping stone for them to get into this space. First, get exposure to the asset class, and then they would learn more about Litecoin and potentially buy a Litecoin themselves and use it. So I think it opens up the door to a lot more people.
Very good. This is sort of an abstract question. It's sort of future-looking. I know when I had David Burkett on my podcast, he talked about a future where he saw that no one really knew what chain they were using. They were just operating in an environment, and it was sending value. So I guess for the foundation, we're here for Litecoin specifically. However, this is where we're going. It might become an invisible technology. So what's the role between advocating Litecoin specifically versus seeing it used perhaps in an environment where it's just part of the rails and no one knows what Litecoin is? Where are we now? Where are we going? And how does that advocacy change?
I'll just take this. I mean, I think it's going to happen in a variety of different applications. I don't know as far as timing, but there could be things sooner than later where the idea is that you create something as user-friendly as possible. And that sometimes means the user doesn't care. They just want to know, make sure it's working. So if they need to send remittance or something, say, across the border, and in order for that to happen, this behind the scenes X, Y, and Z have to happen. The user probably in many cases won't care, right? They just want to make sure. And Litecoin, I think, is a powerful tool because of its liquidity, low fees, security, and amongst other things for those types of back-end applications or programs to happen. So I expect we'll see a lot of that in the future.
Very good. In terms of what the foundation is doing for Litecoin now in our present age, when we're advocating for Litecoin, we're using Litecoin. It's a more visible technology, a choice. You use Bitcoin, you use Litecoin. There's different use cases for either one. What are we doing at the foundation level? Obviously, we're here today. We look forward to future summits. But what's the priority maybe between today when we leave here and go out until we meet again? What are the priorities for the Litecoin Foundation over the next, say, year?
I think, I mean, just to touch upon this, I don't know if it's a priority necessarily, but right as we walk out the door, there's a deadline in Europe, and it's July 1st, and that is for major exchanges, small exchanges, anyone operating within the boundaries of the EU to become MiCA compliant. And I think it's a huge testimony to the way Litecoin is positioned and the way that we've helped position it, that Litecoin is already MiCA compliant. So there's exchanges that start with the letter B that might not be able to do business in Europe as of July 1st. And there are a plethora of banks and other players in this space that need to be compliant in order to do business in cryptocurrency, and they're going to look to the ones that are MiCA compliant and have them as their offerings or their solutions or support them.
And in this setting, possibly you could offer some insight and advice to help navigate these regulations. Obviously, we don't have it all today, but
yeah, I can't help them at all to navigate the regulations, but we do have a MiCA compliant white paper that is on Litecoin. It's available on our website. So if they need that, and I believe the next step is for them to get approval that they have that within hand. There are banks in Europe that are very big names that wanted to offer cryptocurrency, and they have Litecoin as an offering because they know that they have that in hand and they can comply with what is necessary.
Very good.
Let me add one more thing. I think in terms of obviously adoption usage across the globe is important. As we continue to see that, we want to continue to grow that. But I think one of the things, and I think I could speak for a lot of people, that I think has been kind of a second challenge to this is that Litecoin has the majority, if not all, of the attributes that people say they want in money and a coin, but I think it's often overlooked. I think in a world full of these high-driven narratives, this fast-moving space, and I think that's kind of a challenge. It's not that people don't trust Litecoin; they just don't think about it. And I think we need to kind of push harder to maybe bridge that gap more directly. And I think there's ways we could do that. And I think we'll talk more about it. But I think stronger storytelling, maybe sharper narrative focus, things of that nature that can really help push beyond it. The foundation has been pretty conservative by design because credibility is in this space is important. But I think you can also get to a point where, like invisibility, conservatism becomes invisible, or means invisibility. And I think we're aware that we need to maybe push a little bit harder to stand out. And I think that there's some things that we could do to help push that. We're not trying to change Litecoin. I think it's just important to make sure that Litecoin's strengths become impossible to ignore.
And where can the community, whether you're maybe here in Amsterdam or North America, we're broadcasting this to the world, how can the community support the efforts of the foundation?
Well, obviously donations are a huge part of it because everything we do is driven by donations, as we kind of talked about earlier. But we see a lot of different participants and third-party support in different ways. So any kind of developments that can help benefit and add usage or add value to the blockchain is great. And we support a lot of those developments through our own platform as well, through fundraising and stuff. So but it doesn't even have to be development. It could be spreading the word, marketing, teaching people. We had John and other people used to go around and just to merchants and show them how to use it. You show one person, that person shows somebody else, and word spreads. So the community is the most powerful thing we have in it, like a decentralized product. So.
Sure.
Yeah, if I can add something to that real quick. So on the community note, just in the last, year and a half or so, the community actually has created a few Discord, chats and other places where they actually get together, basically benign from us as the foundation, and they coordinate together on some marketing efforts, and then they work with us on putting some stuff out on some of the handles that we have control over that most people are viewing for Litecoin. And they do everything from there's a guy named Master. He's put a book out now about Litecoin in general. There's people that are doing things individually in a decentralized, spirited type of a way that has nothing to do with us on a foundation level, which I think is just absolutely wonderful. But then they also turn around and do things to support the foundation as well. So there's no singular you guys have to be the focal point, or we have to be the focal point, or any of that. It's this is a community effort, and the community is trying to take the strengths and the talents and other things that they have at their fingertips, and are actually making a difference. Whereas I think there was a time prior where it was what is the foundation doing about this? What is the foundation doing about that? And our answer would normally be, well, we're doing what we can, but you're more than welcome to start something yourself and do whatever. And if you want support, we could be there for you, maybe find some ways to help, either raise some awareness or money for you or whatever. But no one at the foundation is saying nobody else can do anything, because if it was only up to the foundation, then I think we would actually be in a world of hurt, because that's not what the coin is even about to begin with. So, why would you expect, an entity that is there to help it? Why would you expect that entity to be one that controls the narrative, the development, the push for normal people to be able to use the individuals, which some of them, I'm not going to point you out, but you're literally here in the audience, or you're watching right now live. And I just want to tell you, thank you for all of your efforts. And the idea that that you can actually make a difference for someone who's sitting in Australia wondering, all this stuff that's coming down in the EU is probably going to come down in Australia if it's not already there. What are they going to do about it? And they're seeing other people be able to lead the charge in whatever it is that they think might be the best way to, help Litecoin be a focal point for someone who may not have known about it earlier.
Did you want to add something, Jay?
Reach out to us. Let us know what your idea is. You know, everybody has different skills. So if you're more of a builder or a coder and you have something that you think is something that should be built on Litecoin, or it can cross over EVM to LitVM, or you know, maybe you're better at writing, like somebody wrote a book. Maybe you're better at getting the word out, or design, or whatever your attribute is. This community is vast, and there's all kinds of different voices all over the world. And once you dip a toe in, you become part of it. It's kind of strange, like. And I do have to say, you know, I've met a lot of different communities and a lot of different industries all the time, and the Litecoin community are very opinionated, but they're some of the nicest people I've really met. So I encourage you to keep it going. Reach out to us, reach out to each other. As David said, there's many different like groups and communities and ways to connect. So give it a try.
And I believe we still have the Litecoin projects where things can be submitted.
Yep.
I believe, Charlie, in Nashville, you mentioned a 5-year commitment, unless I'm misspeaking, where you're matching development. This is all ongoing.
Yes, we've been doing it every year.
Yeah, there's a matching on the bounty program. If there's projects that somebody wants to try and get funded from the community, we put it in there, you know, make some awareness for it, and then people can contribute or donate to those specific. I mean, Basic Swap Dex is a perfect example. Everything that had to do with their swapping came off of that bounty program, you know, and so that's a really good thing to do. And there's plenty of companies and enterprises and others who have always asked from a partnership perspective, like, what can we do to earn the trust of the Litecoin community? And I'm like, participate in the things that they care about. As Jay said, they're very opinionated, but honestly, Litecoiners are some of the smartest people in this space. They're very skeptical, right? But they're skeptical because they've been through at least a few of these cycles, and they've seen enough of the bullshit that happens to know that that's what that is, right? And so if you want to bullshit the community, you're not going to get anything back from them. If you want to be there and be transparent and support the community, they'll be all for you. And every single one of them that's heeded that has seen that. So I would say, yeah, definitely look out for the bounty program. If you go to the litecoin.com website and check that out, you'll see there's plenty of projects out there that are looking for funding. And Charlie matches it 1-for-1, so up to a certain amount, and then you can go ahead and contribute to the society that way too.
Very good. I do want to consider our clock here. I have one more for Charlie and then a general one for the panel. This is very basic, Charlie, but I think it's fundamental, foundational, and we're almost 15 years in. A lot has changed in crypto. Sometimes we forget these first principles. Why are we even here? But we're coming up to another halving event, which is an economic event within the system. We're going to go from 6.25 to 3.125 Litecoin per block. So, and we just had a panel before us talking about, a monetary event, inflation, and all these things. Why 84 million as a cap? Why was that a priority to you, to limit the max supply of Litecoin when you created it?
Yeah, so the 84 million cap, the actual number doesn't really matter, right? What matters is that there is a fixed cap, right, where everyone knows what that is, and you can't exceed it, and there's a fixed kind of inflation until the cap is reached, right? Every 4 years, the block reward gets halved, and then asymptotically, it reaches 84 million. And this is what Satoshi designed, right? The reason why this works is there's no hidden inflation. There's no one person, company, or government that can decide to create more money out of thin air and give it to themselves, right? And that's the flaw with fiat currency, is that there is an infinite amount of inflation that can be created. And as we've seen in the past few years after COVID, the US dollar, the money supply has more than doubled, right? And that's crazy. It just means everyone's money, if you didn't do anything with it, it got cut in half, right? Your purchasing power got cut in half just because the U.S. government is just spending money for wars or whatever reasons that you may or may not agree with. So that's the thing with Bitcoin and Litecoin and other cryptocurrencies with a fixed supply, is that can't happen. And that's important, and that's it retains your purchasing power, which is very important for money, right? If you make money, you don't want it to get inflated away over time and force you to have to spend it or invest in risky things. And that's what happens with fiat currencies, and that's not good money. So that's where Litecoin differentiates itself from fiat currencies.
Very good. I'm going to land with this one. As we close our event here in Amsterdam, whether we're going to our homes, whether we're going out into Dutch Blockchain Week, for all of you, what's the most important thing you want anyone watching or who's here today, what's the most important thing you want them to take home from this event now that we're closing out? Maybe start with Jay and go down the line.
Most important thing, let's see. Well, that you're part of something, that there is a larger group of people here that care about the topics that we covered here, and you want to go back and look through some of these the videos that we took today, privacy and sound money, and the idea that the values of free and fair markets for our economic future are there. Come join us. We're here.
I would say in this industry, like, survival is underrated, and it's been almost 15 years, and Litecoin is still here. And it's more than still here, it's growing. From an adoption standpoint, from a usage standpoint, it continues to grow, and that, I think, speaks louder than anything, and it's not going anywhere. So all we could do is move forward and build, and everybody can do their part. And yeah, I think there's a lot of exciting times to come, and I'm hopeful that Litecoin also becomes looked at as a much more exciting thing as we move forward and continue to build.
Thank you.
I'd probably say for the majority of people, maybe the reasons for getting into crypto now has changed versus maybe when Charlie was first getting in, right? Although Charlie's reason was because he's got a gambling habit, but no. Because of the reason for why he chose to use Bitcoin, right? It wasn't because number go up or anything like that. And I'm not saying that's not important. But I think if you were to try and find one that has those same attributes and is still emanating those core reasons as to why it exists and is thriving, I would say check out Litecoin, because that's what's to me personifying not just the cypherpunk movement, but it's also personifying the average person's reason for wanting to be in it in the first place.
Very good. Thank you, David.
For me, the most important thing about Litecoin, I think, is the community. I think it's all you guys. Litecoin, I feel like, has the best community in terms of just the most friendly and welcoming community out of all the other cryptocurrencies. Just a lot less hate, a lot more like welcoming to people. I don't know why, for whatever reasons, Litecoin community is just more welcoming to others, and it's not about putting other people down. It's more about just supporting Litecoin, and I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of what you guys are doing to support Litecoin. So I think that's the best thing about Litecoin.
Thank you, Charlie. It's a terrific panel. We're legitimately over time, but this is it. So do we have the ability to take 3 questions from the audience?
We can take questions.
3 questions. Yeah. You've got an opportunity here, folks. In the front?
You mentioned you negotiated with the attacker in the Wiggle vote issue. How the hell were you able to contact them?
So the question is, how do we contact the attacker of the Mimblewimble bug? We actually contacted him through the address that he sent the coins to, using just transactions, encoding messages into your transactions. And it's funny because like the first message to him is I want him to kind of contact us on Telegram or some other chat so we can do like real-time chat. And he refused. Like he wanted to stay real anonymous. He didn't even want to use like Telegram or any like anonymous chat programs to chat. So unfortunately we had to do it over transactions. So it took like multiple days of just me sending a message and then him sending a message back and forth. And we kind of, that's how we negotiated him returning the funds for a small bounty.
Any other questions?
One in the back over there.
To live forever.
That was a mouthful. It was, what's the end game, basically, right?
Yeah, the vision.
Yeah. That was a good question, but yeah.
What's the end game?
What's the end game for Litecoin?
All of the above.
Yeah.
So the end game is to continue to exist. Like survival is one element to that. The idea that we're growing in many different areas, where it's smart contracts or payments, or the idea of remittances, or all of the words that we said over these last 2 days, and I think the mission is ongoing. I mean, how many 14 to 15-year-old cryptocurrencies do you know that are out there that are still on the top of the table, still prevalent, still having events that grow every year, and doing the kind of number of transactions, both on layer 1 and layer 2, that Litecoin is. So.
Next. Yes, sir.
So if anyone of the panel has the opportunity, I'd like to thank the intern of the X-account of Litecoin for the funny stuff that they brought to the community. So that was actually quite fun.
The intern is actually on the stage today.
What?
I can announce the intern is on the stage today.
Say you?
I'm not gonna pinpoint who, but it's one of the person on the stage today.
Kyle's being really quiet.
Yeah.
Give it up for intern. Diego.
Yeah, does Litecoin have plans to continue down the innovation path? Because Bitcoin takes 10 years to do anything, and Litecoin has kind of this humble element to it. You guys have never positioned yourself as, greater than Bitcoin or whatever, and that humility has actually helped you guys do innovations like MWeb. Is there room for more of that kind of stuff going forward?
Is there room for more innovation? For sure. So MWeb is still ongoing, right? It's still something that we're still working on making it better. So we're not done there yet, right? And MWeb is one of the things that basically one of the main things that we're differentiating ourselves from Bitcoin, right? And because we're a smaller team, we can move faster and do more things, right? So you'll see us doing that moving forward. For example, I can imagine if and when quantum computing happens, Litecoin would be able to react faster, right? To try different things to combat that. So I do expect us to innovate more in the future, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Thank you.
Okay, before we go, thank you. Any more questions? No more, yes or no?
I have one announcement to make is, well, first of all, thank you for everybody coming out here to Amsterdam and support us for this Litecoin Summit. One of the things we've been looking to try and do is also expand possibly beyond even that and have an audience that maybe normally wouldn't be coming to Litecoin Summit, either because they just don't know about Litecoin or they have other things going on. So one of the things we're also doing is we're teaming up with AIBC, who was just up here on the stage prior. And in Rome, at the beginning of November, from the 3rd through the 5th, they're part of a larger conference called AIBC.World. They're going to have 8 halls, each having a different type of thing within those halls. So like crypto is in hall number 7, payments is in hall number 8, gaming is in hall number whatever, 3 or something. And we're actually going to have day 2 of all of their talks at this AIBC.World, where Litecoin is the main producer of those talks, right? So 5 hours of talks on day 2 in hall 7, focused on crypto, is going to be ran by Litecoin, okay? And so we'll have mostly focus on payments and privacy. So we're going to keep pushing this within especially the EU for this year. So if anybody's going to be around or wants to go to Rome in the beginning of November, we invite you to come out and be a part of the AIBC.World conference. They're expecting tens of thousands of people to show up, so hopefully when we're there and we're speaking to these people, they're already paid customers. They're going to be sitting down and getting to hear the gospel of Litecoin and everything else having to do with payments and privacy. So be on the lookout for that.
Sounds amazing. So as far as I know, we're done taking questions. So go ahead.
I was going to say, and stick around because we have a few things to give out. Since so many of you have stayed throughout and you're still here and the place is still packed.
Goodies.
We'll have to get a little creative on how we want to hand some of these things out, but I don't know, should we do that?
Yeah, it's true. We always tend to reward the people that stay till the end, so this is no...
How do you know they didn't just show up like 20 minutes?
All right, show up the last hour of the conference or whatever. I hear there's goodies.
But before we transition, let's just give these gentlemen our applause. They put all this together. They're maintaining the foundation, funding development, bringing us together after all these years. So we deeply thank you, and thank you for letting me be a part of the panel. Okay, now we can give stuff away.
Oh yeah, one more thing. Marty is, I don't know where we're going next year. We'll be back in the States, but Marty's actually going to be the MC again. And this time, just like he was bragging out about how he got his deposit in Litecoin, he was down 76%. We're going to help him dollar cost average and give him another deposit in Litecoin at this current price, which then will bring him to some average that's much lower than what he was probably expecting.
Oh. Wait, I thought we're gonna give him a...
No, wait.
We're gonna give him a card, and I'm gonna sign it twice, so it's twice as valuable.
Yeah, there you go.
We established the current market value of this autographed card by Charlie is my deficit, so he's going to sign one twice to double that. There we go.
I think we'll dismiss and go on to the next. Thank you, Marty. So I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Yeah, in terms of the intro, I should have said this earlier, but Marty's comment about the sponsored hat that didn't fit. What he didn't share with you is that all of his hats are custom made because his head's so large. But he had made a comment earlier in the summit that next year he will be willing to wear a hat with all of the sponsors embroidered on it. So I gave him one of ours because we had a merch booth there, and it didn't fit his head. So we tried. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that panel. And again, go check out the Litecoin Foundation's YouTube for all of the other panels and speaker slots from that Litecoin Summit Amsterdam 2026. We will be back soon in terms of the podcast with real live guests. So kind of hang tight for that. And thanks for listening today. Bye-bye.